Okay, guys, we're going to look at section 1.6, and this is going to be another section that I'm going to break down into several videos for each little type, okay? This one is just called other types of equations, and there are 5 types, I believe, in this section, and I'm just going to do a short video on each one. These are equations that, as a section, they didn't really fit with any other portion of the book or kind of in guidelines with any of the other portions of the book. So they all just kind of got put here together. Now, unlike section 1.5 where we were doing quadratics, that was one type of equation, but we had 4 different ways that we could go about solving them. This is pretty much, once you identify which type you're in, there's pretty much one way that you process through. There may be a little bit of area where you might have a little bit of choice in how you want to do something, how you solve a quadratic, things like that. But for the most part, it's pretty much straightforward. So the first type that we're going to look like is polynomial equations, okay? And we're going to look at a couple of different ones here. There's going to be one that's solving by factoring. And this is going to be one where you're going to factor out what's in common. And I'm going to do one of these over here on this other side real quick, just so you can see one. Okay, so let me go ahead and switch this, okay? And so what you're going to do is you're going to factor out what's in common. So you do need to have the thing set against 0. So we take a look here, and I notice that they'll both divide by 3. So I'm going to pull 3, and they both have an x. So I'm going to go ahead and pull an x, and that's going to leave me an x squared minus 9, and it's set equal to 0. And then again, using our zero product rule or principle, so what we have, we're going to have 3x equals 0, and x squared minus 9 equals 0. And we're going to use some of our techniques we've seen before. So I'm going to divide by 3. So now I've got x equals 0. Here, I'm going to add the 9. I'm going to take square root on both sides. And again, I brought in the square root, so I'm going to have to bring in a plus and a minus. I can do the square root of 9, so it's going to be plus and minus 3. So my solutions are 0, positive 3, and negative 3 for that one, okay? So now there is a second type that is called factor by grouping. And this factor by grouping is done on polynomials that have 4 terms, okay? And the way that we're going to do this is we're going to group or pair the first 2 terms, and we're going to group or pair the last 2 terms. We're going to then look at each pair and factor out what's in common. And then we're going to kind of rewrite this. This is one that's very difficult or kind of challenging to see when you put it in words, but when you actually see one put into practice, it's not as terrible as it looks, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and get this one written down. Okay, and then let me switch here. Okay, so first thing is we need to get everything over to the same side. So I'm going to subtract 8x and subtract 12. So now I've got 2x cubed plus 3x squared minus 8x minus 12 equals 0. Okay, and so we're going to partner pair these first 2. And we're going to partner pair the back 2. So just looking at the first 2, we go, what do they have in common? Well, number-wise, there's nothing that 2 and 3 will divide by, but they both have an x in them, and I can actually pull an x squared. So that's going to leave a 2x and a plus 3 left behind. Now, the second pair, when we take a look, they both have a negative. So I'm going to go ahead and pull that negative out, and they'll both divide by 4. And I do want to go the largest that they'll divide by here. And so when I divide, that leaves me 2x and a plus 3. Now, our goal and our hope is that this 2x plus 3 and this also match. Okay, this is what we want to have happen. So the concept here is, and I'm going to use a marker here to kind of cover this up for just a second. Okay, is that since both of those pieces are the same and they're my marker, I've got x squared marker minus 4 marker. Now, since it's the same thing, I can factor it out as a whole piece. So that's going to be a 2x plus 3. And then when we talk about, factoring stuff, we pull what they have in common, and then we write the extra stuff that's left over. So we've got x squared minus 4. And then that's going to equal 0. Okay, now some students do like to write this at the back of the factoring, okay, because they see the 2x plus 3 at the back of each piece. That is perfectly acceptable as well. We now have two pieces. We are now going to set each one equal to 0. I'm going to subtract 3. I'm going to divide by 2. So I've got x equals negative 3 halves here. Okay, here I'm going to add the 4. So I've got x squared equals 4. I'm going to take square root on both sides. Again, I brought in the square root, so I need to bring in a plus minus. I can take the square root of 4, that's going to be 2. So now here are my solutions for that problem.